I'm delighted to invite the next panel from Simulate Smart STEM's Marketplace, BCW, and Scottish Women in Technology. And first up is somebody who's quite close to my heart because she's Deputy Chair at Scotland IS, Frances Snedden. Frances.
Hi, thanks everyone. So I've been asked today to talk about a bit about my career in technology, and in particular the impact that a mentor had on my career. I think when people see the Chief Technology Officer title, they assume that I've got a computer science degree and a kind of a vast kind of technical history, but it's actually not the case. And if it hadn't been for a key mentor, Mark, the founder of our organisation, I never would have got into software development. I studied maths at school and then at university, and I dabbled in code, and I was good at it. It was fun. But I didn't ever consider it as a career choice. I don't think I even knew at that age that it was a possible career choice. Then fate intervened, and I ended up working in a software company. And suddenly I got what code was about. Code made software, and software made an impact on the world. And so I was hooked. That was it. That was it. I loved software and everything about it. And I immediately started to regret the fact that I hadn't done a computer science degree because I thought a career in software development was off limits to me. I tentatively and very, very tentatively went into the developers' rooms a few times. It was quite intimidating because it was full of guys and all these monitors. It was kind of every kind of cliche that you could possibly imagine. And I would find excuses to talk to them, you know, sort of a bug report or maybe kind of a feature request. And really all I was there to do was to try and understand how they did what they did, because I was totally in awe. I didn't understand how they took lines and numbers and did this magical thing that produced software that came out the other end. I was totally in awe of what they did. What they didn't realise I was doing, though, when I was trying to have those conversations, was to understand whether maybe this might be something that I could possibly do, maybe, someday. And unfortunately, I left the room feeling that it was unattainable, that it was complicated and it was hard, and I really should have figured out what I wanted to do earlier, and I should have done that computer science degree. Roll forward a few more years, a bit of web app kind of hacking around, a little bit of VB coding. Yes, I am old enough to have done VB coding, unfortunately. And I had a similar conversation with Mark, but this time it was totally different. This time he said to me, coding's easy. You can do that. You're smart. Why wouldn't you be able to do that? In fact, you might even be better than somebody that's come from a traditional engineering background because you've been a user first. So you'd think about the impact on the user and not just the lines of code. I mulled on that for a little bit and kind of thought, no, I'm not totally convinced. But then I kind of went back to him and said, you know, maybe I would like to try this out, maybe if you don't think that's kind of crazy. He said, absolutely not. Then everything changed. The next day, he had cleared room in his diary. Now, bearing in mind he was the CEO of the company at the time and incredibly busy keeping the business going and growing the organisation, he cleared time in his diary and he started giving me coding lessons. And over the next few weeks, he gave me an hour here, an hour there. He made my head spin, teaching me about compiler variables, how to draw things on canvases. All the time I was thinking this was a big mistake, I can't do this. But all the time he made it smaller and he told me that you could do this. And then he made it big and he took me off the consulting pool and I started developing features for our software. That happened within a space of months, like 1 or 2 months, not like lots of months. And suddenly I was a software developer. So I think when we think of mentors, we think of the big conversations that people have. I think we underestimate the small conversations that people have. Those conversations I had with the developers in early days, they were a fork in the road, not for them, but for me. They could have changed my path then. They could have inspired me and they could have motivated me the way that Mark did later on. So I think we can all be mentors. We don't need to just look for kind of the senior people to do it. We can do it peer to peer. And you don't need to be female to do it. If we wait for just the females to do it, we're not going to make an impact very soon because there's not enough of us. So I think males can do this as well. We can do this for females, and we can do it peer-to-peer as well. We all have opportunities and moments in our lives when we can help inspire people and change and shape their careers. Graham read out some great numbers this morning. The technical industry is booming. We're growing rapidly, but not as fast as we could. There is a huge skill shortage. And the initiatives that we've heard about today are fantastic, and long term that will solve some of the pipeline by bringing more women into this sector. But short term, we can also make an impact by putting role models out there and making it clear to women what this industry does. We have an impact on the world, we change the world. We don't just do kind of coding, hackathons and things, and that we can then have conversations with them and mentor them to realise that this is a world that they can be part of and help them convert. So I'd urge all of you to get involved and become mentors and see if you can find the next CTO and amongst the people that you're looking after.
Thank you very much, Frances. I love that point. Never underestimate the small conversations. It's a great point to take away from today. Stuart.
Hello, everybody. So I was quite inspired earlier on with all the various speakers that we had doing different things, because sometimes you come along to these events and it's a wee bit samey. I think it's been curated quite well. I think what we're doing here, we talk about diversity and we talk about opportunity, big and small conversations, role models. I actually think all of this is rolled up in one big thing. I think we're all involved in a movement here. It's a collective endeavour. And what we're all trying to do, I think, is provide equity of opportunity. Right? So irrespective of where you're from, what your background is, gender's obviously the topic today, but whatever part of the diversity spectrum you fit into, we have to ensure people have opportunity. And I think, unfortunately, we don't. You come along to an event like this today and you see lots of people talking about the fantastic things they're doing and getting across lots of different schools, lots of colleges and lots of universities and speaking to lots of employers. I would say that it's really, really encouraging to hear what we've heard from people today, but unfortunately it's still not the norm. So I think, I don't want to be the negative bit, but definitely all our school pupils don't have fantastic, inspiring teachers like Tony and Chris that we heard from today. The people in tertiary education don't have wonderful teachers like Jackie and Alison and Peter, who we heard from today. And they don't have engaged industry people like Evelyn and Robbie and Christina and Lorna and Louise and Lindsay and Chris and Emma and Sheila. I'm name-checking everybody. And I'll tell you for why, because it takes a village to raise a child, right? We're getting quite close to critical mass here in this endeavour that we're all engaged in. And at that point, what happens is there becomes wee power grabs, and that's my bit, it's not your bit. And we need to guard against that. That's the point we're in, because we can sort of see a finish line. It's, it's that paradox of you're always halfway towards the door, right, with issues of equality. But we have to sprint through the finish line, and we can only do that collectively. So very, very briefly, I work for Ceric Systems. We're a cybersecurity business based in Paisley, working across the UK. And we have a CSR arm, got started up through the Prince's Trust, and we give 5% of our profits, and all our staff have 5 days volunteering. And we set up a programme to systemise what we were doing, because we thought we were doing not bad. And we called that Smart STEMs. And we think we've got a wee bit of a movement going, we think we've got a bit of a momentum. And we deal with lots of people in this room, and not everybody yet. Right? We work in 2 ways. We work in hub venues, not pubs, definitely not pubs. Sometimes pubs, all right. So we work in hub institutions, and what we do is we get people to convene. So the way that we afford young people all these opportunities, all these soft and gently soft conversations, access to networks, is by getting people to convene. And when they convene, we ask them to do things. We ask them to connect. We don't just convene and not have an agenda. Okay? So we ran our first event at Glasgow Cali a year past June. Leona was kind enough to give us a bit of funding at that when I was funding everything else. We had 500 young women come to that event. We had 45 industry partners. We had 84 workshops. Right across the 4 pillars of STEM, we had forensic science, we had coding, cryptography, we had the forces represented, we had all manner of things there. Because I don't know what is the hook that is going to be for that kid that comes in. I don't know what it's going to be, so I don't want to force feed them whatever I think is the current agenda, because that will move. Industry's passion will change over time. We need a balanced economy here in Scotland. And every industry will become more imbued with technology. So let's think about the STEM wide play, because that will feed into the technology answer. Look at legal right now. It's not a big tech industry, but it's coming. It's way behind fintech, it's way behind meditech, but it's coming. So how do we ensure everybody gets that? The other thing that we do, so in the first event we run, just give you an example, EDT, Engineering Development Trust, got hooked into 4 new schools. So we made that really cheap for them to see those schools and make new connections. So it's that convening that's important. The other thing we do is outreach. So we take people from tertiary education, students in colleges and universities, and we pair them up with folks from industry to go in and help spin up clubs. So my fantasy island position would be that in 3 or 4 years, a science club, a tech club, code club, code clan, coder dojo, call it what you will, 1 minute warning, God. There's something of this running everywhere. Now, across the Central Belt in Scotland, there's loads of tech happening, and probably somebody's granny's dug hamster knows a guy that can come in, or a gal that can come in and run something. But maybe it's not so much in Uchtermuchty. Clearly there's good things happening in Wick. But if you want to have a science club in the Western Isles, not always great, right? We need equity of opportunity. The biggest thing I think we can afford young people is access to that mentor, that external influencer, the thing that can de-risk mum and dad talking them out of it. So the place that we focus on, but we help people to get speakers for their 5th years and all the rest of it, but we focus on P6, P7, S1, S2. So 10 to 14-year-olds, before they pick their topics, and we try and get mum and dad roped in. When parents and teachers come along to our events, we talk to them about unintended bias. We've got people that close the gap there. We are not trying to be a code club. We're not trying to be primary engineering. These guys are all first class already. We don't need to be them, right? We need to broker you to them. That's what we're doing. We're the glue, right? I'm trying to mesh up Scotland so that there is equity of opportunity. That's what we're engaged in. I'd love to speak to you.
Thank you very much, Stuart. I think that part where we can learn a little bit from the brewing industry in Scotland, that micro industry, that closet industry, all of a sudden has become a craft. And I know that I'm borrowing a word from a lot of plagiarism today. I'm sorry, Laura, I've pinched one of your words, but somebody else's. That craft of software development is something that is had an ignition point in Edinburgh. And how do we create that out the way? How do we use all the buzzwords, agile, creative, innovative? How do we make that go sideways and have a longer lasting effect as an economy? Leona.
I was quite prepared to give Stuart my 5 minutes there, because I think what he said was absolutely on point. And I'll explain a little bit about what developing the young workforce is, and I'll come on in a minute to Marketplace. But absolutely the key message I want to get across in terms of what I'm representing in developing the young workforce is that we are there to enable. And absolutely, if your energies and resources are best placed with Smart STEMs or Scottish Women into Technology or code clubs or wherever, I am fundamentally behind the impact that this makes. Who you do that with is relatively irrelevant. The fact that it's getting done is what's really incredibly important. Developing the young workforce groups, there are 21 across Scotland, so, you know, picking up on Stuart's point, they are in the most northerly points of Scotland, right down to Dumfries and Galloway and the borders. So we are about sharing that equity of opportunity. They've been set up by the Scottish Government as employer leaderships and skills and development. And really what we're set up to do is broker better links between industry and education and support more young people into work. We do that in Glasgow in a number of ways. We support schools and business partnerships. We do workplace tours and experience. We try to increase the volume of workplace opportunities and exposure to business leaders for our young people across secondary schools in Glasgow. We do that largely where we can, based on intelligence which we get from colleagues at SDS. Where are the growth opportunities? And I read quite an interesting statistic yesterday that said 1/3 of young people are chasing just 10 jobs. and that actually their knowledge and information about the labour market and where opportunities are is woefully disconnected from the reality of that. So for us, where we place our energies has to be around where there are actual real opportunities for young people. And we've recently started working very closely with Skills Development Scotland around a number of digital activities. I have worked with various people in this room to enable that to happen. So what I would say, if you've heard something today from Code Club or whatever that you think has grabbed you, then they're the contact to go to. If you haven't heard anything, or if you think that that's maybe too intensive for you, or you would like to fit into something else, then come to your Developing Young Workforce group, and we're there to connect you to other things and other opportunities that exist. We've got work going on with S1, S2 girls for digital. Girls get into digital work. We've got a group of students going out onto the BBC about the transferability of digital skills, so the application of digital in media. We'd love to do something about digital in retail coming up as well, just to inspire young women in particular to consider the wider application of digital skills across multiple sectors. One of the ways that we can do that, and thanks again to our colleagues at Skills Development Scotland who've developed a platform called the Marketplace, which you can all access through our Skills Force. That's for you to go on and say, it'll take you 5 minutes literally to register your interest in working with a school or a college in Glasgow or beyond. You would then pick from 12 pre-selected topics to say, I would like to give an inspirational talk, I would like to offer a workplace visit. That will automatically be picked up by the school. So if you select maybe, I'm prepared to travel 5 miles from my workplace, then that'll select all of the schools that are 5 miles from where you've entered your postcode. You can refine it right down to, I'd like to discuss this with girls or young people with disabilities, so you can filter who you would like to make that opportunity available to. So anybody who gets 5 minutes to take a look at our Skills Force /Marketplace, that's a ready platform for you to engage with schools all across Scotland. And there may just be an idea in there that maybe you hadn't really thought of before, so I would encourage you to do that.
Thank you very much. I know through my experience in my own company and then through Scotland IS, working with James Bream and the team at DYW in Aberdeen has been really beneficial for us and how we do things and how we get more involved. Thank you. Laura.
Hello. So I'm going to cheat a bit. You've got my video.
Yeah, I think so.
So I work for RBS. I'm an ETL architect. Nobody ever knows what that is. So I'm a lead developer within data integration. And Dion is actually an apprentice in my team. But I'm here on my BCS capacity today. So we've got a video that describes what BCS does, and I'll talk a bit more about it afterwards. And so that's a bit about what we do. But so the main reason that BCS Women was formed was to create a supportive environment for women to be able to go and talk about tech, experience different parts of tech in a comfortable environment where they felt less judged, per se. So what sorts of things that we organise are, well, we're doing a taster introduction to coding session with Code Clan, and that's sold out in 24 hours. So there's an appetite for women's only events of that type in Scotland. And it's about attracting and empowering women and enabling them to be able to be mentored and become mentors as well. So, yes, sorry, I'm a bit of a nervous speaker, hence the video.
Oh, very well done, Laura. I didn't know whether clap our hands or sway to side to the music in the video was quite, or whistle, absolutely. Morag.
Thanks, everyone. Now, I realise it's just me that separates everybody in this room from lunch. Is that correct?
Yes.
Good, won't keep you too long. Hi, I'm Morag Taylor. I'm here today to represent Scottish Women in Technology. But who am I? I'm Morag Taylor. I've worked in digital tech for longer than I care to admit. And I work for Sopra Steria in the sales environment. So I joined the board of Scotland Women in Technology just about a year ago from now. And we're talking about all this wonderful opportunity for women and how much we need them. So what happens when you get there? What happens when you need support, when you need mentoring, when you need a familiar voice to speak to about what your career path may look like? How else have other people done it, and what do I want to get out of it? So Scotland Women Technology was a fabulous attraction to me because I got to meet other like-minded women, both in very tech roles, and also women just like me who sell into tech and don't have to know everything in and out, but you do need to know a bit. So we are a network run by women, for women, but regardless of gender, one of our big objectives is to make sure that we address the gender balance. And that means getting as many men along to our events as women, which has been quite handy because our latest event, again, ours was a sellout within 20 hours. Not one-upping, but... and that was... we've got Registers Scotland kindly have volunteered to host it for us. Instead of the usual box of wine and crisps, Lindsay, we're getting Prosecco and canapes. Woohoo! So, funnily enough, that sold out very quickly. Yeah, we'll get the men along. We've just said it's, yeah, plenty of that. So, what else do we do alongside... We work alongside a lot of these guys in the panel. We work along with Stuart and Leona, we work along with BCS Women, and a lot of other people in this room as well. A bit like you stole my line, we see ourselves as the glue as well. There's loads of women's networks. That's fantastic, because everybody should have their own support network, and it's whatever works for you. We see ourselves as a glue, as a, sort of a position of knowledge where people can come to, forums, and we like to put across calls to action as well. So within mentoring, we're currently mentoring with 10 women at the moment, and that's within the aligning senior technical professionals within representative companies, and we're looking to expand that relationship this year. We're also working on establishing Scotland's first Women in Technology Awards, and that's to coincide with a large-scale conference later on this year, and we hope we can rely on you all to get involved. So, as I say, we're partnering with Smart STEMs with Stuart to send inspiring women from our network to partner at these events. So how do you get involved? Come along to our events, follow us on social media. You'll see our names and numbers up there. Speak to any of us. There's Lindsay here today, there's myself here today. And yeah, I think I will let you all get some lunch. Thanks very much for your attention.